More medications, less health. Something's broken. Traditional medicine manages symptoms, but true healing addresses root cause. I'm Josh Rimini, pharmacist turned healer. At Beyond the Pills, we merge ancient wisdom with modern day science to inspire you through stories of transformation, practical trainings, and holistic healing. Join me and other practitioners as we guide you towards vibrant health, body, mind, and spirit, and move beyond symptom management into true healing. Hello. Welcome to this episode of Beyond the Pills. I am Josh Rimini, pharmacist turned healer. And today we are diving into a revolutionary conversation about a part of the body most people have never heard of, but it holds the key to how we heal, move, and even process our emotions. Anna Rahe is a fascia-focused wellness innovator with over 25 years experience in redefining how we care for our bodies. She's the founder of GST Body, a groundbreaking fascia-based system designed to restore vitality, prevent injury, and unlock human potential. Who does not want all of those? Anna's work has been spotlighted by Goop League and featured in over 40 podcasts, and now she's preparing to launch her first book, Skin to Soul, where she reveals how fascia is far more than the connective tissue. It's the bridge between physical health, emotional resilience, and true healing. Oh, so good. If you've ever struggled with chronic pain, stress patterns, or felt disconnected from your body's potential, this episode will open your eyes to a whole new dimension of wellness. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you. Josh, it's so nice to meet you. I really appreciate you having me on here.
Let's dive in. I love reading people's bios because it just sets the stage for just such an open, beautiful conversation. But many people don't even know what the word fascia is.
Yeah.
And I've been a student of this for a long time in my own health journey and my wife's journey. But can you just explain to the listeners what fascia truly is and why it's so critical?
Yeah, it's such a great question. So the term fascia is a generic term. I kind of like to say it's a broad terminology for a type of tissue in the body. It's called connective tissue. Its most significant form, or the way that it shows up in our health in its greatest capacity, is as an entire body system. So I use those terms, connective tissue system and fascia, interchangeably. But for the listener, if you're thinking about fascia as a tissue, you might want to think about it like a fabric of a type of outfit that you're wearing. If you are looking at it in the body, there's many different types of fascia that show up and they serve different functions. Like you have your myofascia, which is the fascia that surrounds your muscular skeletal system. It's really kind of sturdy like burlap, and it can handle a lot of wear and tear, and you wear it every day. It's a wash and go kind of a tissue. It's pretty sturdy. But then you also have viscera, which is the fascia of your vital organs, and it wraps around all of these really important body parts, and it's part of your digestive system and part of these other aspects of your health and wellness. And so that would be more like silk or sateen. It's softer, it's more fragile, it's a little bit more like glidey and silky, and it serves for motility in your organs. And so each way that fascia shows up plays a specific role in its function of the other parts of your body. So I like to talk about fascia really from this global view of whole body care, where fascia is organized into an entire body system, similar to your nervous system, similar to your digestive system or your endocrine system. It comes with different organs. These organs are not massed organs like a heart or like lungs. And this is probably why fascia has been kind of overlooked a lot in the medical and in the scientific community for many years, because it looked like a crazy kitty went mad inside with yarn. It's like white stuffing everywhere. If you peeled back your skin and you went inside, it doesn't look very ordered. It doesn't look like a heart that's like, woo, this is big and massed. It looks really interesting. It's like, oh, this is stuffing, and we need to get it out of the way so we can get to the most vital parts of the anatomy. And so it's kind of been overlooked, but nevertheless, fascial organs are organized based around the other body systems. So there's a way that fascia organizes around your endocrine system, around and with your nervous system, around and with your digestive system. And in this way, it becomes one of the most significant organs inside your body, or not organs, one of the most significant systems with all of its organs, because it's really working on the back end of physiology to make sure that all the other systems are working well. So the condition of your fascia, how healthy it is influencing all these other layers of our physiology.
That's a great way to I've never heard someone really use the analogies of the different types of fascia and how they sort of like I learn, we all learn through analogies and in saying it like that, like with the type of fabric that it is, because it is kind of like a fabric. And when you said
Exactly.
burlap in myofascia, it's like, oh, I instantly connected to that, right?
Yeah.
And I've always used, and I from the perspective that I've learned from it, um, is is in the modality of pain, right? We're gonna talk about
Mhm.
pain today, and we'll talk about
Yeah.
the why fascia is so important to maintaining that balance of pain. Because if it isn't healthy, things go awry. And I'd love to talk to you a little bit about the what I've been doing with this space. But your personal, how the heck did you get into this? Right? It's like, you know, let's talk about your personal journey into discovering fascia and where was the defining moment or this missing piece in your journey here? Because
That's
I
a
think it's important to understand where people came from,
yeah.
because a lot of the times we connect through story, but all the practitioners in these beautiful health and healing and wellness spaces that I'm talking to, we all have a personal story attached to it.
Mhm.
And so I'm curious on where this all came from, because it is kind of a thing that people don't really go for, right?
That's I
It's
mean, it
not like
takes
a smoking gun where it's like, oh, I'm a heart guy because I did the heart thing. Like it's underneath all that. So I want to explore your
exactly.
story a little bit.
Okay. It's a 25-year journey rather than like a like neat
Yeah.
narrative story, but it started when I was 18, and ironically, not ironically, haha, but back to this pain thing is that it was really a sense of deep, deep pain that was multifaceted and so complicated that I would go to tons of different specialists, some for my gastrointestinal problems, some for my, low back and muscular skeletal problems. And then I go to acupuncturists. And then I like would circle trying to get really definitive what is wrong with my body. What is interesting that'll probably come up in our conversation later is that I had gone since I was in 14, I was in really deep therapy for childhood sexual abuse. And it wasn't until I was actually 18 that I chose to commit to this journey of healing. I was really seeing, I had a kind of divining moment where I was like, if I don't fix what's happening inside of me, the emotional and psycho-emotional problems I'm having, the course of my life will really be altered. And so I went away and lived in a mountain cabin for 3 months and did intensive, extensive therapy for trauma healing. And it wasn't actually until I was already a dancer and stuff, but it wasn't until about 2 to 3 months after this time in Estes Park outside of Rocky Mountain National Park that my body actually started showing symptoms. And the reason I say this is that oftentimes our body will be the container and the captor and the keeper of our hurt and our wounds and our stress without speaking it so that you can go on functioning. And once I was willing to say, I can create the space for you to heal, then my body started talking. And when it
Yeah.
started talking, it was the loudest, most chaotic, and really difficult conversation that I was trying to get my attention to. So I would have symptoms that were really severe, like IBS type symptoms. I would have colonoscopies and I would have radiologists looking at the lining and what is happening in the CAT scan, and nothing would show up. And then I would have like flare ups in one of the scarier symptoms was my respiratory system. And so I would go to a pulmonologist and I'd ask them to like look at why my heart was not beating right. And then my lungs wouldn't expand, and they would try to do breathing tests. They'd give me inhalers, and things just weren't like adding up. And every time I brought up other symptoms, my specialist would say, that's not related. And my, digestive doctor would be like, that's not related. And I would go to acupuncturist and I would get a lot of relief. That was one of the therapies that was really telling in this. And it kind of has a
Yeah.
circular story. But the longer or the shorter directive was I would go out and my symptoms were very volatile, which was also scary. So I would go out one day running through Golden Gate Park. I would be keeping like 7.5 minute miles as my, kind of conditioning as a dancer. And I would be like in the best shape of my life. 3 days later, I would do the exact same run and I'd feel like a 10-pack-a-day smoker. And I was like, what is this? Why am I having so much problems with these symptoms? And I had brain fog. I had, depression. So there's a lot of different symptoms overlapping. And I kept, just kind of mental notes. And I like, it's weird that when I have my digestive thing, I have this and this also. And when I have had clarity or when I have stretched like this, which is interesting, I would have this symptom ease up. And so I started seeing very early on a kind of a connection between these symptoms. And I had been certified in Pilates. I was already a yoga teacher in a couple different disciplines. I had quite a bit of, anatomical knowledge and basic physiology. Like I knew about the organs and what they did. But I was like, it's not this. And I was going through this like list of what it couldn't be. And I'm like, well, I don't think this is musculoskeletal. I don't think that this is blah, blah, blah. Cause I would have really bad flare ups in my fibromyalgia type things. And I couldn't like take shirts off over my shoulders, my arms, and I'd get frozen shoulder and I wouldn't know why. So all of this to say is that it felt chaotic. It felt multi-tiered and I couldn't point my finger, even though I was already a working professional and had quite a bit of understanding. And one day I just had this download. I'm like, could this be fascia? And I'm like, wait a second, what is fascia? I remember it from my Pilates training. I remember learning about it. And so I just did a deep dive. And at the time, this is 25 years ago, it was even a little bit more covert than it is now. Like it was just not very well known. And mostly it was known in manual therapy circles. And I did a Rolfing set of 10. I did Heller work. And what was really interesting in hindsight is that I would have I got some benefits, but I would also get really flared up by certain things that were done to my fascia. I was like, this is really interesting. So I did a 25-year journey to cut this short. I did a 25-year journey, basically testing first in myself like a lab rat. And I would do severe things that would antagonize my conditions and my pain. And I'd study it and I'd be like, why? And I'd go home and have 3 hours of relaxation and rolling and that would make me feel better. But then I'd get up and go to my dance rehearsal and everything would flare up. And meanwhile, I was doing more and more studies and I would start charting. People tell me to do this and it flares me up. I go home and do the opposite and I'm feeling better. Why? And so it took a sense of courage and like questioning like huge experts. Like my dad was able to help me go to some of the like leading experts in the field on whatever my issue was. And so it took a lot of courage for me to kind of like own my own health and be like, wait a second, what you're telling me to do isn't right. And if I do this, I'm feeling better. So I started collecting the things that I was doing. And then I started teaching it to others. I had a Pilates studio at the time, and I would have people fly in from Sweden with Crohn's disease and this problem and inflammation and Hashimoto's and all of these kind of symptoms. And we would work for a couple days and their symptoms would absolutely like cut by 50, enhance, their biofeedback machines would be reading differently. And I was like, I'm onto something. I don't know what it is. And it was just like trial and error. And I'd be like, okay, well, I think this works. And I think this works. And the conclusion of this was just after the years of doing this, I was like, I'm doing something different and I need to not canonize it to method. I didn't want to like make it rigid and stuff. I'm like, I need to have this be as open and free as what I'm learning in the body. And so I just said, what am I doing? And I started working with scientists and bringing it into more like laboratory and clinical analysis to be like, what is, happening here? And two things stood out. Number one, fascia has the ability to contract on purpose. I learned how fascia would actually organize in contractile patterns to be able to make a significant impact on how fascia's animating. It's a word that I created because it's different than stretch. Stretching only got me so far, and tissue animation made a huge difference. There's all this stuff as to why. The second thing we noted is that remodeling only happens best through heavy loads and high repetition and duration, which
Ooh.
means that manual therapy can always be managing our condition, but cannot really be a solution for it, because our movement, the way we inhabit our bodies and use our bodies, is a greater influence over the condition of our fascia than anything else. And so basically, I created a technology, there's 7 of them, that are infused with using movement. So, you know how this, you'll like this because of all of your multiple disciplines, is that a chiropractor and an acupuncturist and a massage therapist and an osteopath are all doing or all using the same tools, but with different points of focus. They all have a lever that's a stick. It's basically a long stick that you're going to push force through, some type of a force load, which could be gravity, could be friction, could be traction, could be compression. These are all force loads, and they're all trying to eventually get flow. So a chiropractor focuses on the skeletal system primarily. They like to use your own body shapes to configure your levers. They drop force into your body to get joints to flow. Massage therapists use their own levers. Osteopaths use the levers of their fingers, and they apply force to either your vital organs or your muscles. And they're trying to get the muscles to release into a state of relaxation and flow. An acupuncturist uses the lever of a needle. They stick it into your chi, and from there, they try to activate the meridian to get the chi to flow. And so all of these disciplines are seeing that really movement is, whether it's on the physiological level of your, meridians, or if it's on the physical level of your muscles and your bones, we have to have a continuum of motion constantly surging through us. And this comes back to what fascia is that fascia is your energy modulator. It's your body's smart grid. It's responsible for taking high voltage loads from the outside to the low voltage loads of our physiology, the energy that comes off our EKG, the way our lungs expand, the way cellular, remodeling is happening. And it's supposed to dampen the big voltage and modulate it to the little voltage. And it starts to move and metabolize energy through your system. And septic energy creates disease and metabolic problems in the body. And so, last thing I guess I'll just say in the journey of finding this is that we take your body, you have 5 levers, and we teach you how to align them in these really important pathways that align fascia to be able to get the energy to move and flow, where the fibers are hydrated and being able to move. And this changes the science for how we address biomechanics. And that's the real crux of this, is that fascia is 70% water. It is not a solid system. And so it behaves under the laws of fluid dynamics. I don't know how many of your listeners would be familiar with that, but that our biomechanical model for sports and conditioning and fitness and therapy, physical therapy, is all based upon levers and pulleys. And fascia says, wait, I'm not a lever pulley system. I'm a hydraulic system. I am tubes, not sticks. And I am 70% water with fiber lattices that actually push and pull energy through and across the grid rather than trying to lock it up. And so what I do is I basically teach people to be their own practitioners using movement and the configuration of those tools, lever, force, and flow, to be able to heal and restore almost any aspect of the body. And it's more because of what fascia is. It's deeply innervated into our autonomic body systems, our nervous system, that is automatic for us. And if you can tap into the automatic things on purpose somatically, then you have a game changer in your health.
Woo! There's a lot in that to unpack. Holy moly! No,
I'm a heavy doser.
I know it's great because the story is so beautiful. This is literally the link between the energetics, the emotional, and the physical.
Because
And it's
fascia
like,
are psychological loads too.
right. And when you talked about it in the beginning of this segment, like you were talking about your emotional pain, your emotional traumas, and how it stores, right? We know now that our emotions store in our body. And then when you release that, or you're ready to release those traumas, then it became evident in the body, right? I
Right.
did this the other day. It was funny. I was doing an energy uh, extraction. I'm doing my shamanic stuff with somebody, and I was doing an energy extraction, pulling an energy out. And what had happened is, and we talk in the shamanic world, fluid energies and crystallized energies. They're sort
Yeah.
of different, right? Some are fluid and they can just flow out, and some are
Yeah.
crystallized. And we got to do something different. But I, I was working with this client, and what had happened was really critical. It's so important because I just got so much more insights of this from this conversation,
Yeah.
because we pulled the energy out, but her hip got worse the next day. Like, it was like I was like, "Oh, we're moving that energy, and it's now presenting in this way physically. It's moving, it's ready to come through." And we ended up doing a little bit more. I wish I'd learned about the fascia part of this, but it was
Yeah.
like literally my intuition told me to crystallize the energy and move that out in a different way. We did, and it resolved within 2 days. But it
Mhm.
was really interesting that we were moving energy, which created the physical ailment,
That's
which
right.
then, but that makes sense because it is flowing and moving. And now it's funny how we talk about the fascia linking everything. This just linked the way that I experience that now in a
That's
different way.
right.
So that was really cool
Well, it's
because,
cool to understand that your crystallization of energy, even if you're able to modulate it and metabolize it out, the fibers that are actual structure, right? They're not the energetics. They were holding the energetics. You still have to remodel the structure that was containing it, right?
yeah.
And that's
And I
going to
think,
take 2 days to move out, at least.
well,
Yeah.
and this is why multimodal practitioners are so important, because we can move energies, but then the fascia, and I love that your analogy of like the fluid dynamics and it being 70% water, because most people are thinking it's this rigid network. It's
They just
so
keep
fluid
thinking
dynamic.
of
And most people that I've worked with fascia are always concerned about the stretching and that kind of component only. When
Yeah.
I learned about fascia, it was because I was going through pain management certifications with compounding, because
Oh, yeah.
we can use we can move certain cool, like, awesome modality pain creams into the fascia to
Mhm.
interact with it in different ways from the nerve component side of it and doing that. So it's like all of it's kind of coming full circle. I loved how we connected the body, the mind, and the spirit
Mhm.
into where this stuff is. It's almost like the connection between, like, energy and physical, right? It's like right here and it's right in that space. So that's so cool.
It's super
Um,
cool. But
I also love that you talked about the just in your process of your, I call it the wounded healer's journey, right? Your
Mhm.
journey of 25 years of, I always, one of the philosophies I've had with the practitioners that I mentor is do you first, right? When you're in a wellness based thing, we don't prescribe this without having gone through it, right? Like doing these things. And I love that your journey, it's very similar. It's like you're taking this piece that you learned, and you're taking this piece that you learned, and then you're taking this piece that you learned, and you're just blending it into this thing that becomes Anna Rahe's thing,
Well,
where you're just becoming this whole, I call it like a 5D puzzle, right? My 5D puzzle has been, you know, pharmacist, cancer survivor, turn functional medicine guy, turn nutritionist, turn energy healer. Like, I just put all of them together to create what works in the space that I work. And I love that you've kind of, over these 25 years, that your journey has gotten you to this place where it's just keep folding for you. It keeps becoming something that's more, I never say change anymore. I just say it's been this evolution.
it
And that
is.
evolution has become this beautiful thing that you've done through your Pilates and all the other components of yoga, and learning about the fashion and going down into the science and learning from that, learning from the scientific, because
Yeah.
backed by science is a big thing for me.
I
And
think it's important.
now we're yeah, but we're moving now into the realm of like quantum and healing in these different energetic places where we're merging. This is why it's beautiful for this conversation, because this podcast is the merging of ancient wisdom and modern science put together, not one or the other, right? We're not going to the acupuncturist only, and we're not going to the physical doctor. Like, we're blending all this together to get that deeper understanding of both and, not
Yeah,
or.
it's
So I
a
love
true.
how you shared with that. Let's get into this system that you've the GST and looking at like what you're doing, because I think we're let's tie it up in this way where what are you doing with folks? You said I teach people. Like, what is
Yeah.
this process that you take people through?
Well, I think that you said some really nice things I wanted to just highlight, which kind of leads
Oh,
into
please
that
do.
story, which is I also tell people, and especially practitioners, you can only offer the healing to others that you have experienced in yourself. And so, more than just how much training we get, it's that is important and it's knowledge, but it's actually the infusion. It's you distilling the healing in you, where you share not just the knowledge or the facts and the stuff it's that you're sharing yourself. And so in GST, what's really interesting is I tried all the modalities, and they're not a hybrid. It's not like I've taken everything. It's like I only kept, I only found and sought the things that actually worked. Right. So it's like what
Yeah.
you're saying, that distillation process of like, yes, this could be a principle that's, true, right? Like solid mechanics works, but if it doesn't work in all these applications, it becomes less relevant. And so I think that the goal is to be able to also not just have the knowledge, but be doing the work. Because I've been
I-
treated by healers that are very knowledgeable, but they haven't actually they haven't integrated, they haven't done the transformation. And so in a way, it's a refinement process where you're clearing the dross. I talk about this even if it's in a personal journey, where your struggle, the warrior's journey you talk about, is it heats you. It puts you under the fire of change, and it removes the impurities. It removes the non-essentials. It removes the things that aren't really going to heal you. And then it leaves the gold. It leaves who you are after the healing. It leaves the power in you to be able to share. And that is really what is healing people, right? It's not you doing it on someone. It's you stepping ahead and sharing the thing that healed you, right? And that's why
That's
you go before.
so profound in the way you said it too, is because that is it's not the blueprint, it's literally, the formula. The formula, it's like not one formula, but it's the formula for the difference between practicing medicine and healing, right?
When there's a right practitioner versus a healer.
Yeah, and I resonate so much because these healing journeys we've gone through, now it's like we can speak through empathy, we can speak through experience, we don't speak through and this has been a learning curve for me, Mr. Technical everything, right? Going through the science of all of it, and moving it into this space of like true, like, heal yourself and also be compelled to heal others, these callings that we have. So that's such a beautiful, elegant way to say that. So thank you for bringing that up, because that is the true essence to me too, is like the
Yeah.
difference between a practitioner and what we're doing when we talk about healing. Because for me, I don't know about you, but like I'm in the business of transformation and healing now. I have no bit. I don't want to be into the pill for the ill or the symptom resolution anymore. It's like empowering people. Like, we're not doing the stuff to them. We're
Yeah.
there to be the facility, the guide in their journey and empowerment. We talked about this a few times in this conversation, is empowering ourselves to be in the driver's seat. And there's just another beautiful reason.
When looking at your own journey and doing your own journey, this is for the lay person or for the practitioner who wants to bring more to their practice, is that doing the healing is what actually builds both empathy right? You then have this space where you're like, I understand your pain in a way that, and that's actually where we're going to work. And it's a guide to say where you want to jump into and be with people. And then when you're actually tapping in, and I think you know this from your shamanic work, which is you're actually like, it's almost a conduit where there's an exchange. You're not just
Mhm.
dealing with their energy, you're the infusion, right? You're saying, let me guide from the place that I'm holding and the place that I want you to get some of this energy. I don't know about you, but I did a lot of energy work, both on people and stuff. And I can't do it more than like maybe a session, maybe two, if it's strictly energy, because it's just because of the exchange of energy of what it's almost like a state of gifting the space and the information. When you start looking at fascia is an information system. It's a communication and a sensory information system. And so you're literally exchanging. Fascia also acts like a membrane. So it's transitional, it's permeable. And so when you lay your hands on someone, you're opening up the fascial membrane of both consciousness, sensorily and neurologically, to be able to infuse information. And that is why you have to be healed, because you don't want to put your unhealed energy into a person you're trying to heal. It doesn't make any
Well,
sense.
it's so I've never had a conversation about fascia like this before. It's so amazing because we're interconnecting this energetics that we're learning more in the science. When we're looking at this is not woo anymore. Like, this is quantum mechanics. Like, we're talking about frequency matching.
Mm.
And when healers have gone through their own healing journey and they're matched, and sometimes they're just like, I'm a cancer survivor. In some reason, I know, like, people are coming now, they're finding me to help them in different ways because for whatever reason, there's this energetic match, right? When people think of that as like totally just woo, it's like, no, we're proving that this, in our Westworld brains, like,
Mhm.
there's a frequency match that just happens, and that's where that interconnected play comes from. So I love that you're connecting this in the physical realm
Well, I
as
like to
we're
say that it's
talking
not
about the
me that's
energetic realm.
connecting it. It's fascia. I would like to just say, like, I saw it, but it's fascia that is the connection, which is why I get so excited about it. Cause I'm like, I kind of, I I'm in my heart, I'm a philosopher and a sage. And in my, wanting to help my body, I'm like a scientist. And I'm like, oh, this isn't actually either or, right? It's this beautiful. And the only reason that we can physically explain some of this stuff now is through the connective tissue system. It's not a miraculous system. It's still biologically a carbon life system, but what it houses and what it facilitates is pretty profound.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like when you see, I just have this like thought in mind, like, how do you it's exactly what it is. It's like fascia is like, it's the interconnection of the realm of the energetic realm into the body, and we've also connected it with emotion, and so it's body, mind, spirit. It's like this is how it all works, guys. It's so cool. Um so let's get back to how you work with people.
Yeah,
I want
great.
people to understand, like, because this is it's super breakthrough. I love this stuff, and it's how do people work with you? What type of offers do you like? What type of programs are you doing? Do you one on one? Is it group? Is it online?
I I have it all.
Yes, just say yes.
Those
We all
first,
do nowadays, right? We
yeah,
have yes.
2018. I really love working with people. I love working with people in my studio here. This is, also where we have an online studio. I was scared in 2020. I closed my studio in LA in 2019, not because of COVID, but because I was transitioning in the business and I had lost my lease and I was like, what's the next step for me? So I closed the physical studio and we did go digital November of 2019. And then sure enough, like COVID happened. It was a miracle that I was kind of 2 months
Right?
ahead of the curve. But I really missed like people. Like we are first human with spiritual potential. and we will become spiritual. But we have to remember that the physicality of who we are is deeply spiritual, in that it's the embryo state of ourselves. And so I want to work with people in the body, because I think that that is where we work out our spiritual journeys. And so I miss that, but I do see people. They tend to come in and fly in to see me now. I see some people locally. So I was really happy in 2020 when I discovered that GST actually translates through the screen in a really vital, extremely unique way. It's not really like exercise and, fitness, even though a lot of people associate movement with fitness. It's really translating. We call it like, body manipulation or tissue manipulation through movement. We use movement to do serious cellular remodeling, following these very basic principles, scientific based principles of how fascia and other cells remodel themselves and start to proliferate and keep healthy. And it's based upon the water. So it ends up that fascia remodels based upon how the water is moving through the aqueducts. It's the water being displaced that actually lights up and pushes and pressurizes the cell to make it want to either, be discarded or reinstated. So we can do a lot of our cellular remodeling, and it's through movement. So it translated, and I was really happy. So you can find us online doing just videos that are very, like, we have learned videos that will teach you all the principles. It will teach you how to be your practitioner. I'm really passionate about education, because I think that the very foundation of transformation and change doesn't start just with the understanding, but with the action of what can I do? And most people can do like 5 really simple things that will immediately change the state of their fascia, the state of their body, following generic laws. And so I want to educate people so that they can, even like, one of the things that's really fun is that GST teaches you how to work with an acupuncturist, where you, while you're receiving treatment, will amplify the treatment by how you behave in your tissues. When you go to a chiropractor, you work with the chiropractor. So you almost become this partner in your health in a way that you're not being worked on, but you're being worked with. And I love
Love that.
being able to take that and be able to help share that, because you want to amplify. Fascia gives you the accessibility to make all of your treatments, all of your modalities, whether it's a workout, whether it's your therapies, whether it's your psychologies, and it will actually infuse it and make those treatments more bioavailable. The healthier your fascia, the more bioavailable your other treatments become. And you would know this, I think, from your, like, state of as a pharmacist. The way that the medicines break down and how they affect into the tissues and distribute is really based upon the connection of parts and how they're delivered to the different organs and stuff. I don't know as much as you do, but that is set up by the tensegrity and the tensemetry of your connective tissue system.
Oof. I'm going to explore that one, because I'm big on bioavailability with nutrition and doing
Yes.
some really cool stuff with my nano emulsions, with my, like, this is a whole nother next level. Like, how do you move this into that space? So is there a website that people can go to, or do you want Instagram? Like, where do people find you?
So I would suggest going to GST Body. That's what I do. That's the company. From there, there's a lot of different places to land. We have the online studio. We do programs where I actually work with you in regular. They're like kind of concierge care. And we can deal with anything. I also collaborate with other doctors and professionals like yourself, where I'll help people navigate their own journey. So come to GST Body and poke around, and then follow. We have Anna Rahe. You spell my name. That's why it's hard for me to always give Anna Rahe, because it doesn't sound like it's spelled. It's Anna Rahe, Rahe, pronounced Ray. Of GST is our Instagram, and GST Body. So you can come and get like body tips and all of that, like good fascia care stuff from GST Body. And then you'll get lifestyle kind of hacks in the way that they integrate. Because one of the most profound ways that fascia asks us to reorient our relationship to self is that we always think about things in really, like, even our treatments, even if they're integrated in mentality, it's like, I have a doctor for this. I have an integrated, I have an acupuncturist for this. And fascia says, Stop thinking big block chunks. You don't eat your food in big block chunks, and you shouldn't exercise and do your movement in big block chunks. And so it says, infuse me into your daily activity. And it actually wants like regular microdosing of movement every 30 to 45 minutes. You find a way to make the world your jungle gym, and you go out. And this is some of the stuff I go over with you of like these really fun, like ways to catch in, because 90% of people have fascial dysfunction. It's because of our modern lives. It is because of our diet. It's because of the sitting primarily, which creates like glycogen type activities, which is the same as what adrenal stress is doing. And so all of a sudden, fascia wants you to like integrate it into your daily life. It's super easy and it feels so good that you start craving it. And so those you can come and learn those things. I'm not being very clear. I should just have them say one place.
No, no, it's good. It's like you're on Instagram, gstbody.com, right?
Yep, GST Body, and you're going to put these in the show notes,
Okay,
which would be
gstbody.com. Because I love what you said, and I want to clear it before we like wrap up here. Is like it's really important. We've now this is a whole next level way of why movement is important, right? Like I always say, sitting is the new smoking because it is. It's actually better for you to smoke than to sit for too long. But this is a whole nother it's not movement just to move. So I have a whole different way to talk about movement with my clients now and have a great referral system because here I have a chronic pain patient and I'm doing compounding and wellness and all that. And it's like, we need to collaborate to send people to you or other places because it all fits into the pie.
It does.
Before we leave, you have a book coming. I want to talk to people. It's called Skin to Soul. Give us a little preview of that and when it's coming out.
Great. Hopefully, sometime in the early, I think next year it's written and it's getting ready. So, it is just really walking people through the very beginning. Like I noticed that most people don't live embodied lives and we basically live skin forward and we never really like jump into, who we are. Fascia is your organ of body consciousness, the way the brain is the organ of mind consciousness. And they work together to really create a sense of self and who you are and what you are in the world. And so I start on this very basic, here's what fascia is, here's the physiology, here's why you should care, how it's related to your life, your health, your mental health, your plans for the future, your aging. And then we really go down into why fascia becomes significant as a way of understanding real biomechanics. I like to kind of borrow from the idea of movement where it's like, we don't really have life mechanics for how to handle life. And fascia has this really parallel line of, I handle your loads, I metabolize them into freedom and health. And if you apply these same principles to the stress loads of your life, the ways that you are being captive by the hardships that life is throwing at you, the struggles you have, you will find freedom and flow. And so it's kind of this beautiful poetices of fascia's continuum of how it can revolutionize our health, our wellness, and our spiritual journey.
I love that. I've learned so much today. Thank you. This has been, we could go on and on. I totally have more things to do, but when that book comes, we'll do another episode just to highlight that so we can help support each other in their spaces. I think this was a very valuable lesson for me, especially like learning about this in such a different light. So thank you for bringing this light to us, to the world. And it's so evident to see you and shine and how you're talking about this stuff. Like you are in your true essence. You're in your true wholeness. You just look and feel like this is your zone of genius and you know it. So it's so cool. I can't wait to start diving in a little more on this subject. And
we can talk. You call me anytime. I would love to chat with you. I didn't even get to know all that you do. I did a lot of research before I came on because I was like, what an interesting guy. This is so great. And I love that you're opening up this platform to people who
this is just another way to get through to the mission of like deprescribing unnecessary medicines, right? Medications, not medicines, but like we can work in this. Like what you teach people is free or low cost, right? Once they learn these things, you just do.
Zero.
Right. And that
Literally
is the beauty of all this is like we have these innate things. Your body wants to do it. So
That's
Anna
right.
Rahe, you've been such a good guest. And I think this is just the beginning, not the end.
We'll do more together. Have a great
All right. This is a wrap, everyone. Until then, stay well. Thanks for joining me today on Beyond the Pills. If our mission to de-prescribe 10 million unnecessary medications resonates with you, share this episode, subscribe, and leave a review. Whether you're a practitioner or someone ready to reclaim your health, visit rx2wellness.com for free resources to begin your journey. Together, let's go beyond the pills and co-create a world of vibrant health and true healing. Until next time, live better and stay well.